If someone came knocking at your door and offered you property to sell, or a car, or some other material things, would you consider investing or buying them in a time of pandemic? Or would you call your realtor, call your finance guru, and ask them? That would be some of the questions we will ask our guest this morning as we confront the challenge, the renewed challenge of COVID-19 and the threat of all of these variants to our attempt at MGCQ, at the attempt of the business sector to get their feet back on the ground, etc. And for that, we will be speaking with a regular of agenda, none other than Professor Emmanuel Leyco, economist and pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, ng Maynila President. And after that, we will discuss with our next guest, what is this anti-public display of affection campaign of the PNP? Are they serious? Is this something that they really thought about, observed, and based on data and on medical information? Or is this another police distraction action? So that we won't be talking about the series of alleged misencounters between police and police or whatever. Okay, I just got a text from our co-anchor Charles Lejano of One News. Ako yan, bili kayo sa akin. Okay, Mr. Lejano, ginulo mo na naman ang umaga ko. In any case, welcome to the program Agenda, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And today is March 12, 2021. It's a Friday, and thank God we made it to another Friday. And I hope that all of you are looking forward to a relaxing weekend. But please, gayahin nyo na ako. Ayan po, nag-print na ako paalala. Bawal pumasok ang walang suot na face mask. Lumayo ng 1.5 meters sa inyong sadya. Salamat po. And why did I make 10 of these signs to be posted all over this property? It's because dito po sa probinsya, maluwag ang mga pintuan. Yung iba nga, sobrang luwag, binubuksan yung pintuan at pumapasok na lang. And unfortunately, because of what's happening in Metro Manila, we need to send the message all over the country. What's happening in Metro Manila can happen in the provinces, in the cities, towns, mga barangay, if we are not careful. Wag na po nating intayin dumapo yung UK variant, yung South African variant sa mga barangay nyo. Maghigpit na kayo ngayon. Medyo magtatampo. Sabi ko nga sa mga kasama ko, magtampo na yung magtampo. At least buhay tayong lahat. Kahit magtampo forever, buhay ka. Di ba? Kung patay ka, hindi ka namin pagtatampuhan. Pagluluksaan ka namin. In any case, that is the reason why I'm putting all of these signs. Because if you read my column in the Philippine Star this morning, I pointed out the fact that after everything is said and done, tayo po, we are to blame. All of us are to blame because one point or another, somewhere along the line, we went about without a mask, without social distancing, without paying attention and taking the official pronouncements seriously. So now, Metro Manila is beginning to suffer once again. Today they are going to have problems. Well, not problems. A lot of you are going to have to deal with curfew na naman. Let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. Okie dokie, starting Monday, a curfew will be up over the entire Metro Manila from 10 p.m. to 5 in the morning. This is to curb the rise in COVID cases. We will discuss more of this with Interior Undersecretary Epimaco Densing III later on in the program. Okay, from NCR, from the National Capital Region, let's now go to the provinces where the governors are making an appeal to still require COVID testing from travelers before they can enter a province. Ayan na nga po, sinabi ko nga no, na 3 weeks ago, we were all talking about MGCQ, about lifting these requirements, but in my meeting with my team here in Lipa City, yung aking mga kasama sa farm, sinabi ko, noon, nangyari ang COVID, yung pagkalat ng COVID sa Metro Manila, akala ng marami, so many people thought that it would be contained in Metro Manila. A month, 2 months later, provinces started having to deal with the problem because, first of all, their province mates, town mates were traveling to Metro Manila to work. And then there were people visiting the provinces, and before you know it, ayan po, umalat na yung COVID. Now, the problem here is you're not dealing with the regular variety of COVID-19. You are dealing with a more transmissible, highly contagious, and apparently 30 to 70% deadlier virus. Okay, so let's talk about that. A study posted on the British Medical Journal has shown that the UK variant is actually more deadly than other coronavirus variants. If you recall, a few months ago, Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the United Kingdom said that based on their data, the UK variant was highly contagious and deadlier. And when we mentioned that to health officials in the Philippines, ang sinagot sa atin, wala naman po pang scientific data, which is understandable because a few months ago, there was not enough data on the ground. Well, there are now enough casualties on the ground, so let's not play diplomacy here. Let's just call it for what it is. It's 30 to 70% times more deadlier or deadlier. Mali na yung aking grammar doon. It is 30 to 70% deadlier than the standard coronavirus. Okay. And last but not the least, on the front page, the PNP has admitted that they have no information on the alleged drug involvement of the late Calbayog Mayor Ronaldo Aquino. Aquino died after anti-drug police fired at his vehicle in an encounter that is still under investigation. Very interesting. We will also discuss that with Usec Densing, Epimaco Densing, because ayan na naman po, no? The people we've interviewed so far, and I've talked to privately, have said, hindi naman daw anti-drug unit yung bumira kay Mayor. So, medyo, kung hindi sila anti-drug unit, ano sila? Death Squad. Okay, let's go to our first interview for the morning. Bago ako mag-umpisa ng gulo dito, let's go to our regular advisor, professor, mentor on economics, professor and president of Pamantasan Lungsod ng Maynila, Emmanuel Leyco. Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Cito, and good morning to our televiewers.
Pumapayat ka, sir, at saka napapansin ko, nag-improve yung dating mo ngayon sa TV. Parang pinaghandaan mo ako.
Pinaghandaan kita kasi magaganda ang ating mga topic and I don't want to distract people sa mga hindi magandang background.
Yeah, okay. Well, in any case...
At nagsuklay na rin ako ngayon. Nagsuklay na.
Yeah, mukhang gwapong gupit eh.
Okay. Anak ko lang ang nagugupit sa akin.
Magaling siya. In any case, sir, I guess, I think you've heard the intro and And a lot of people may be wondering, Sito, ano ba? We're dealing with COVID, UK, South African variant, curfews, etc. And you want to talk economy. By coincidence, this morning, the reflections and prayers in our church in Victory Every Nation was about God telling the prophet Jeremiah, go buy land. And sabi ni Jeremiah, ano ka ba, God? Susunugin mo itong bayan ko, papatayin mo yung mga tao, and then you're telling me to go out and buy land. And I said, uy, perfect timing ito dito sa usapan. Is it a good idea? Because apparently God was operating in futures investment. Now, you as the professor, you as the president of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, what is your take on investments during the time of a renewed COVID problem?
I think investment is always timely. I think investment in the proper sector, in the proper areas is always timely. It's never untimely to invest. Kung mayroon kang resources, I think you should invest. And there are opportunities right now. And if I may go back to that Jeremiah clause, no? Go buy land. I think that is already telling us land is agriculture. What people need right now is food. Remember, inflation natin recently went up. Why? Because of agriculture issues. Nung nakaraan ay bigas, no? Tumaas ang presyo ng bigas. Ngayon, tumaas ang presyo ng baboy, ibinababa, pero hindi successful ang gobyerno na pababain dahil yung mga nagbebenta ng baboy na mababa pa doon sa kanilang cost, hindi na lang nagbenta. Kaya I think that is very telling. Agriculture is a good place to invest in. Why? Because there will always be demand. Agriculture feeds our people. Hindi naman pwede yung pati bawang, pati luya, pati sibuyas, i-importin natin sa ibang lugar, sa ibang bansa. Kailangan yung mga basic na agricultural requirements natin ay itanim na natin. Ang food supply natin should be secure. Yan ang isa sa malaking problema natin ngayon sa ating ekonomiya. Masyadong maraming disruption, mas maraming unstable when it comes to our food supply.
Okay, I love it. I love it, Professor Leyco, kasi alam mo kung sometimes kami, we become literal eh. Parang, sabi ni Lord, gawin mo ito, ganun-ganun, di ba? Buy land. You have actually touched on symbolisms or, in this area because no one really thinks agriculture. Everybody thinks real estate, but no one thinks of agriculture. And agriculture is a more affordable at mas maraming tao ang pwedeng pumasok sa agriculture.
At basic na pangangailangan ang pagkain. I think when we talk about land, we have to talk about food and shelter. No? Ito dito nanggagaling ang ating pagkain at dito rin nanggagaling ang ating tahanan. Kung tayo ay puro tahanan, wala naman tayong itinatanim, nakakalungkot 'yon dahil papaano tayo patuloy na mabubuhay kung wala na tayong kinakain. And remember, no, just to be practical about this. The Filipinos were able to afford to buy real estate because of the remittances that we are receiving from abroad. Now that the Filipinos are coming home, jobless, wala tayong pambili ng bahay. Wala rin tayong pambili ng pagkain. Ang pagkain natin, umaakyat ang presyo. Sa economics, inflation is terrible. It's a killer. Pagka tumaas ang presyo, hindi naman tumataas ang sweldo, marami kang makikitang magugutom. Like right now, just a few days ago, ang ating Philippine Statistics Authority nag-release ng data. And I think we still have to go through that data. No? More than 4 million, I think about 4.3 million Filipinos are now jobless. So what does that mean? Kung 5 tao ang umaasa, no, kada worker na nawalan ng trabaho, 5 ang ating average family size, household size, no? So mga 20 million mahigit ang nawalan ng kanilang aasahan para sa kanilang mga sweldo. So what does that mean? Tumaas ang presyo ng bilihin, tumaas din ang number ng mga nawalan ng trabaho. Ako ang nakikita ko dito, matinding kagutuman ang inaasahan natin dahil dito.
Professor, could you explain that to me? I'm sincere, no? I'm sincerely confused about this. Kasi I understand, sa pagkakaintindi ko, inflation goes up when there is a great demand or there is a great shortage. Pero sa ngayon, parang wala nang trabaho, walang pambili, so walang demand. Iisipin mo na dahil walang bumibili, di magkakaroon ng pagbaba, hindi pagtaas ng mga bilihin. What's going on?
There was a disruption in our food supply. Nung nagkaroon ng African swine flu, no? Nung napepeste ang ating mga baboy, alam ko, ikaw nagmamanok ka rin. Nagbababoy. Pagka napeste, no? At ikaw ay regular na nagpupunta sa merkado, nawalan ka ng dadalhin sa merkado. Ang ibig sabihin yan, yung food supply natin bumaba. Kasi hindi naman kakainin ng mga tao ang may ASF. So lumilipat naman sila sa ibang
produkto.
May alternative, no? Halimbawa ay manok. Tataas naman ang presyo ng manok dahil hindi naman umakyat ang presyo, ang supply ng manok. Tumaas din ang presyo ng galunggong dahil hindi naman tumaas ang supply ng galunggong. Ang stable dito ay ang ating demand for food supply, no? Maaaring baboy, maaaring manok, maaaring isda. Ngayon ang nangyayari sa atin ay disruption, no? Matindi ang disruption, matindi talaga ang pandemic na ito, unang-una sa transportation. Mas magastos magdala ng mga produkto ngayon sa Pilipinas dahil mas magastos ang ating transportasyon. At lalo na nagkaroon ng pagkakapeste, nabawasan ang inililikas ngayon sa merkado sa Maynila. And remember, Manila is the major consumer ng ating merkado. Andi dito yung mga malalakas bumili, you know?
Okay. Now, Professor, may nabanggit kayo. You mentioned something that is a cause of concern. No? Marami tayong OFW, I think several million. No? Ewan ko, I don't know what the exact figures are. If you have them, please educate me. Many of them bought houses on installment. Kinampanya sila ng mga developers para mag-invest sa kanilang mga townhouse, condo, etc. Ngayon, hindi na sila makakabayad. What's going to happen? Logically, historically, what happens when you have a major disruption such as COVID-19? Will we now see a lot of people unloading, selling, or parang maririmata na lang yung kanilang property? And what should these people do? What should government do for them?
So far naman, ang mga property developers are reporting na hindi pa ganoon katindi ang disruption sa pagbabayad. No? At nakatulong na nagkakaroon sila ng restructuring, nakakatulong na tumitingin sila sa kalagayan ng ating mga property buyers. Dahil ma-anticipate na nila ano ang kailangan nila ngayon, ano ang kailangan ng mga buyers nila ngayon. Kasi kung maghihintay lang ang ating mga property developers, baka magulantang na lang sila isang araw, nakatambak yung mga hindi nakakabayad. So ngayon, binabantayan yan. Binabantayan ng Bangko Sentral, binabantayan ng mga bangko. Paano ba magre-react ang merkado o ang mga buyers dahil sa kawalan ng trabaho ng ating mga OFWs. Pero ito ang ating napansin over the years. Kasi hindi naman bago sa Pilipinas ang krisis. 2008 ay nagkaroon ng major crisis. I think it was the subprime sa US.
Yeah.
And remember, ang US ay major source ng ating remittances. No? Maraming mga Pilipino, although hindi kasing dami compared to the Middle East, ang mga Filipino-Americans, marami silang pinapadala dito. no?
Mm.
In fact, tayo $2 billion a month ang natatanggap natin before the pandemic. Malaking bagay yan kasi we are looking at kung 2 billion yan, ang multiplier effect niyan siguro mga 8 times. So yung 2 billion times 8, kasi hindi naman inile-leverage nila, hindi naman nila ginagastos ng todo-todo yung 2 billion. No, ipangungutang nila yan at makakautang sila siguro ng more than twice nung kanilang natatanggap kasi remittance at saka ano lang yan, installment. So kung 2 billion, pwede mong ipang-installment yan sa mas malaking halaga. Ngayon, bumababa ito. And nakita namin in the past, ang mga OFWs natin, malalim ang bulsa. During that time ng subprime crisis, no?
Oh.
Instead of declining, na-stabilize nila, napagpatuloy nila, at saka tumuloy pa, no? Umakyat pa yung kanilang mga remittances. Why? Ang iniisip namin noon, ang OFW natin nag-iipon. Maraming ipon ng OFW, particular sa Amerika. At ang mga Pilipino are used to, we see them having 2 jobs, no? Instead of stopping, they try. Ito ang unique sa mga Pilipino. Pero ang concern natin ngayon, this is the pandemic, no?
Yeah.
More serious than the subprime, more serious than the Asian crisis. Gaano kalalim ang bulsa ngayon ng mga OFW para ipagpatuloy ang kanilang mga remittances. That is why I think right now we have to stop looking at remittances as our major source. We have to look at domestic economic activities natin as our major driver of our economy. Right now, being a consumer-driven economy, ang consumption natin is being funded by remittances. Pero now that the remittances are declining, Filipino Americans are losing jobs abroad. I think we really have to take it seriously now.
Should those people, sorry, Professor, but should those people with mortgages, with bank loans, yung mga bumili ng mga sasakyan para makapag-grab, commuter service, should they unload or should they just hold on and haggle, negotiate? Ano ba advice mo sa kanila, sir?
Ang tingin ko, hold, no? Nabili mo na yan, mag-negotiate tayo na ma-restructure. But at the same time, let us look for other sources of income. No? Kung ang namili ay flexible pa, meron pa siya. Halimbawa, yung delivery ngayon, major business yan, ano? I think at least in Luzon and in major urban centers, yung online buying and delivery are major activities right now. Dapat doon tayo tumingin, anong pangangailangan ng mga tao. And also, when we start talking about reopening the economy, we have to consider, baka we reopen the economy, ito nga, hindi pa na-reopen, umaakyat na uli ang ating COVID infections. Lalo na yan pagka nag-reopen pa tayo. Tama bang i-reopen? Yes, tama na i-reopen ang economy. Pero hindi ito simpleng mag-reopen. Pagka umakyat, mag-lockdown. Pagka pwede na mag-reopen uli. Hindi pwedeng ganun eh.
Close open policy.
Hindi pwedeng mag-close open policy tayo ang treatment natin sa COVID. Pagka and definitely I am in favor of reopening the economy. Alam mo, Cito, nakakalungkot tingnan, no, yung mga dating mga tsuper, no, yung mga dating mga manggagawa, ngayon namamalimos sa kalye. Ang dami ngayong namamalimos sa kalye. Nakakalungkot yan, no? At ako nakikita ko pa nga na tumaas ang presyo ng mga bilihin, milyon-milyon ang nawalan ng trabaho, marami ang nagugutom, mas marami ang mamalimos sa mga kalye ngayon.
We'll go for a quick break, Professor, and when we come back, ituloy natin itong discussion na ito na ano ang gagawin o dapat gawin ng mamamayan. Iaasa pa ba natin kay Juan, kay tatay, kay nanay, whatever, or may magagawa ba tayo? We'll be right back here on Agenda. you're back here on Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Welcome to the program and welcome to our viewers on Signal TV, Channels 8 and 250, as well as on Facebook.com/OneNewsPH. Let's bring back Professor Emmanuel Leyco, President of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. Prof, marami ka, ang gaganda ng mga inputs mo, no? It's not just land, it's not just real estate. It can also be about agriculture. Agriculture is about food supply. Food supply is a constant demand that's always there. And then also on housing. Napag-usapan natin yung housing, maraming OFW, may mortgage, marami ang bumili ng mga sasakyan na hindi naman OFW, pero sumabay doon sa mga ride-sharing concepts and deliveries. Now, ano pa ang pwedeng gawin ng mga Pilipino to survive? Kasi, you know, the other day, actually, I think, 2 days ago, I think, one of my Bible study friends asked Kuyang, or actually asked the group, should we look for new businesses because our hotel is simply not picking up? There are barely any guests, etc. Sa Subic sila, parang gusto na nilang isara yun at lumipat sa ibang negosyo. Sabi ko, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, hold on, because if in 1 year we are able to vaccinate everyone, you will go crazy trying to find space for all the Filipinos who just wants to travel. What are your thoughts, Professor?
Well, I think you're right. Hold on. Pero I think when it comes to assumptions that we are making right now, they're saying that we need about 70% of our population to be vaccinated to achieve that herd immunity.
Yeah.
Pero the rate we are going, yung supply at saka yung rollout nito napakababa. Malayong malayo, and the computations that I am seeing right now is that it will take at least 1 year for us to complete vaccination for our 70% of our population. So,
well, you're correct there, Professor, because the Indian ambassador himself said yesterday na yung negotiations ng gobyerno with the Serum Institute of India is going towards 80 million vials order by the end of the year pa.
Kaya sa akin, I will go with the advice of many doctors. Go with the science. No, the science is vaccination. But even with the vaccination, you still need to do social distancing, wear your mask, and wash your hands frequently. That will continue, and I think that should be part of our lives from now on. No, until talagang mawala na ang virus, no? Pero I think it will take time. Ngayon, saan tayo, paano ang magiging sources ng ating livelihood ngayon? Unang-una, I really think na dapang-dapa ang mga Pilipino right now, walang trabaho, no? Maliit ang sweldo. Meron pa nga akong alam ang ginawa ng mga kumpanya, inubos ang bakasyon ng mga employees nila. And I understand this is legal daw, no? Inubos ang bakasyon, pagkatapos ngayon, they are making them report twice a week. So ang sweldo nila, they are still considered employed. Hindi sila kasama doon sa more than 4 million unemployed. Ang status nila ngayon ay employed, pero underemployed. I think ang underemployment natin lumaki. No, I will have to look at the statistics right now. Pero should we stop? I don't think we should stop, but I think we should have starters. No, kailangan may stimulus. Ang US nga, trillions ang kanilang stimulus package. Considering na ang Americans are even richer than the Filipinos, meron silang trillion plus, no, na stimulus package. Ang mga Pilipino na mas mahirap, I think would require a lot more. So I hope the policymakers are listening na let's consider more ayuda para sa ating mga mamamayan. Alam ko yun, ubos na, laspag na rin ang ating mga bulsa. No? Pero we can find sources. Nangungutang nga tayo, pero saan natin dinadala yung mga inuutang natin? I think we have to look at that. No? yung strategic importance, strategic value ng financial assistance sa ating consumers right now, sa ating mga households. Dapang-dapa sila, pagka pinabayaan lang natin sila, baka hindi makabangon, and then in the end, yung economy natin ay magsasuffer. Why? Because walang namimili. You have to look at financial assistance as an input, as a stimulus to the market. No? Hindi naman natin kayang bigyan ng pagkain ng mga tao sa lahat, no? Milyon-milyon. We cannot do that. We have to give them a continuous flow of funds. And right now, ubos na. Yung mga domestic households natin ngayon, palagay ko, ubos na. No? More than 50% ng ating population did not have savings, even before the pandemic. They were parang, kumbaga, isang kahig, isang tuka.
Yeah.
No? Pagka mayroong sweldo,
daily wage earner.
Yes. Pagkatapos nadagdagan yan dahil may remittances. So gumanda-ganda ang buhay natin for quite some time. Pero ngayon, ubos na. So I think we have to look at this strategically. We need to strengthen the purchasing power of our people. We have to revive the purchasing power of our consumers. Kasi kung wala na talagang namimili, what will be the incentive for the market producers to come in? Walang namimili. You know, so yung mga kaibigan natin ng mga negosyante, naghahanap sila, nasaan ba ang demand ngayon? Marami ang nagpunta sa pagkain, pero low value production yan, low value enterprise.
Worst case scenario, Professor Leyco, worst case scenario that we are forced to lock down because of this UK variant. I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but I don't see anything stopping the UK variant from wreaking havoc except for a complete lockdown. Kasi at the rate it's going, and pag pinapakinggan ko yung mga sinasabi ng mga mayors sa NCR kung ano nangyayari sa kanilang mga lugar, parang parang faster than a speeding bullet itong COVID ngayon compared to last year. If we are forced to lock down, what will our economy look like by the end of the year?
It will look worse. It will look worse than last year. Kung ang anticipation natin, ang COVID variant ngayon is a lot worse than what it was last year, and we will have a stricter lockdown. We will restrict the economy even further. I see our economy declining double digits.
Okay.
And I think we have to listen to WHO already. They're saying lockdowns do not work.
Yeah.
Hindi lockdown yung tawag nila doon no? Restricted mobility. Pero hindi mo nire-restrict ang economic activities. It will be affected, no? You restrict to some extent, pero you continue to sustain economic productivity. Right now, dapang-dapa, no? So, takot na ang mga mamamayan, and I think they have reasons to be scared of, pero marami rin sa atin hindi na pinapansin ang COVID. Sabi nila, mamamatay ako sa gutom, mamamatay ako sa COVID. So, mamamatay na lang ako na lumalaban.
Okay, so yung mga gustong lumaban, mamatay na ako pero mamamatay ako lumalaban. Sabi mo, we should go to agriculture, food production. I've always said that to some people here, to several people. First, plant or produce for yourself, yung pang-sariling konsumo. At lahat yung sobra, yon sige, ipamigay mo o ipagbili mo. What areas ang quick fix na lang, Professor, para dun sa mga medyo kumakapit na sa patilim, ano ba ang pwede kong pagkakitaan?
Well, technology is one, no? Right now, yung software development, malakas tayo dyan and I've been saying that before. Ito yung madaling pasukan. Kung makakapag-develop ka ng app that will facilitate financial transactions even better. Right now, innovations ngayon sa technology ang kailangan, no?
Ayun, okay.
Matagal na ang IT, matagal na ang financial technology, pero ngayon, pumapasok na. Dati ang tawag natin dyan ay fintech. Ngayon naman merong education tech, no? edutech. So
Mhm.
right now, ang madaling pasukan ng mga Pilipino, ng ating mga kababayan ngayon, ay software development application. Pero may problema tayo dyan. Kailangan ng internet natin ay malakas.
Mhm.
No? Kasi right now, naglalaban-laban. Sa akin lang, dati siguro nung nai-interview mo ako noon, nagda-drop ang aking connection dahil nakikipag laban ako sa connection ng anak ko na who was attending online. So, ito pa rin, Cito, I want to emphasize this also. Education must continue. Education is a factor, no? It's a major competitive factor natin nung araw. No? Pero ngayon, pagka tinatanggal natin ang education, apektado sa online education, mawawala pati ang ating edge kung meron pa mang natitira, no, sa ating education. Kaya kailangan i-continue yan. No? So, online, kailangan, ito ang mas mabilis sa ngayon. Ano? Pero again, Cito, I don't want to miss this issue. Ang mahalaga sa atin, no, ay magkaroon ng sustainability ang ating mga consumers. Bigyan natin ng stimulus ang ating merkado through cash assistance.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Professor Leyco. And again, you've given us so much information and insight, and we hope to hear from you again in the very near future. Thank you very much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Cito, and thank you for having me back.
Okay. That was Professor Emmanuel Leyco, President of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. And maganda po yung sinabi niya, no? Kasi we took off from the book of Jeremiah where God said, go buy land. Sabi naman ni Professor sa akin, hindi naman lahat literally go buy land. Magtanim, go into agriculture, go into food production, and magaling po ang Pilipino dyan. But some of you tend to think in terms of ROI, volumes, large numbers. Pagalingin nyo muna yung abilidad ninyo sa pagtatanim, pagluluto, food production, etc. And then produce for yourself, prepare for yourself, and share with others, and that's how you create your own market. You are your best judge. Kung lausin naman yung panlasa mo, tanungin mo yung mga anak mo. Children will always tell you the truth. In any case, let's now go to our next guest. Let's speak with an Undersecretary of the Department of Interior and Local Government for Operations, and siya po ay regular ng agenda, always a very good source of information, Undersecretary Epimaco Densing Usec. Epi, good morning sa iyo.
Good morning, Cito, and to all your followers. Magandang umaga po.
Okay, viewers lang, hindi followers. Mga taga-panood at alam mo, hindi naman tayo leader. Tayo kumbaga, mahilig lang magtanong at mangulit. Usec Densing, pasensya ka na, umpisahan ko yung ating interview tungkol dito sa PDA, yung no public display of affection. Medyo marami akong kaibigan na napikon. Sabi parang believe na kami doon sa PNP, tapos naglumaylay na naman sila. Ano ba yan? Wala ba silang mapagdiskitehan? I mean, people understand. No? People understand that there is some basis health concern, pero parang you iniisip mo star player, biglang pinapansin yung tubig, yung water boy, parang ganun, ano? Were you given any explanation why the PNP is even picking on this topic?
Well, the directive of no PDA by the PNP has been there since last year. It's just they were not able to implement it properly or strictly, no? But because of what's happening right now, they're reviving that directive. But I would like to think that the purpose of that is just to call the attention of the public to set some example. Kasi hindi mo naman malalaman kung mag-asawa kayong naghahawakan ng kamay. So kailangan, mamaya girlfriend, boyfriend kayo, magkaiba kayo ng tinitirhan. So ano lang, just to call out their attention, nothing more than that.
Okay, so wala naman yan multahan o sitahan. Kasi alam mo, you know, when you mention girlfriend, boyfriend, may mga nagsabi nga, nako sir, baka mangyari niyan, magka-harassment lang dyan, mamaya mayroon na namang mga makotongan dyan. I'm sorry, no? I'm just voicing what people's reactions were to this policy.
Sita lang yan, Sito, sisitahin lang. Again, call out their attention. Most probably kung papatunayan naman sila mag-asawa at they belong to one household, baka pababayaan na yan. It's more on people who do not belong to one household and they display attention,
Affection.
public display sa publiko. Yun lang siguro ang sisitahin kung pwede wag muna.
Okay, sige. So that's let's put that aside. Ngayon, yung ating police actions or I don't know how to call it parang police operations on the ground in our renewed fight against this renewed surge of COVID-19. Babalik ba lahat ng mga checkpoints na kilala na natin? Kasi kami doon sa Barrio Kapitolyo, doon sa lugar namin, meron ng checkpoint doon sa Pioneer for the longest time. And you know, you become familiar with the police officer, dinadala namin ng tubig, binibigyan namin merienda, kasi nakakaawa, nakabilad sa araw babalik ba yung mga yon? Magkakamustahan na naman ba kami or wala pa for now?
Not in a general sense. Meron tayong checkpoints ngayon, but on those barangays or areas where there is an identified surge. So kung pupunta ka dyan sa Pasay, meron niya around 77 barangays na nandun po yung checkpoint, no? Because these were the barangays na identified na merong mga COVID cases. It's surging, no? So expect in those areas identified in Makati, Navotas, Malabon, Pasay, and some areas in San Juan, may mga checkpoints dyan. However, in a general aspect, wala pa ho tayo dyan sa area na yan, magkakaroon ng checkpoints ulit in the borders, no? Basta ang importante po dito, pag pumunta kayo sa border, sigurado po ito, sisitahin kayo kung hindi kayo nagpa-practice ng minimum public health standards. Yan ang major nakautusan namin ngayon that everybody should look into people not practicing minimum public health standards. At sinabihan na rin namin ng PNP na checkin ang lokal na gobyerno kung meron silang ordinansa or ordinance penalizing those who are not practicing public health standards so that they can file cases against them if they are not.
Okay. Usec Densing, you know, I've always said that, or I've always quoted the phrase, the Lord works in mysterious ways. And sometimes, yung minamasama natin, actually, paraan din ng Panginoon to call our attention to certain things that need action. Ano? And it has been reported that PNP Chief De Bolsinas has been infected with COVID. Tested positive for COVID-19. Ngayon, that calls our attention to the fact na yung bang mga kapulisan natin, ang dami nang na-infect, may marami-rami na rin nang namatay, are they part of the frontliners who are getting vaccinated? Kasi ayan na naman, gagamitin natin sila in the campaign against lahat ng mga pasaway, pero they're not protected.
They are part of the frontliners identified, But of course, what was identified are the medical frontliners with the PNP and the AFP, yung ating uniformed personnel. So in this first batch of vaccines which arrived, Sinovac and AstraZeneca, all the medical personnel of the PNP and the AFP were given allocations for the vaccine. So sila pong inuuna. But in the stream of priorities, kasama sila sa fourth priority, from the senior citizens, then comorbidities, then uniformed personnel.
That seems to be misaligned with the public impression na sila yung kasama sa first batch. And I really support that we put the PNP or scale up their, their tawag nito, their priority kasi medyo could you let us know how many have been infected, how many have died, and siguro pwede nyo i-compare ito doon sa mga frontline health workers para mag-comparison tayo. Kasi iniisip lang natin, ang nadisgrasya, maraming doktor, nurses, etc. But Usec Densing, please allow me to go for a quick commercial and then I'll get back to your answer regarding this matter. Sandali lang po. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and with us is Undersecretary Epimaco Densing III. Usec Densing, yung pinag-uusapan natin, I was mentioning the fact that I know many police officers have been infected by COVID-19, now including the PNP chief himself, as well as you've had a number of people who've died. Now, may numbers ba kayo available? If you don't have the numbers, you have to Usec.
Yeah, over the past year, no, I think the total infected from the Philippine National Police would be around close to 12,000. However, I don't have
12?
close to 12,000.
Aray ko.
12,000 PNP personnel na infection na, no? But however, I don't have the figures for those who became casualties of the COVID-19. Pero I agree, frontliner sila, but apparently we have to follow the protocols and the priorities set up by the World Health Organization. Especially nakakakuha tayo ng libreng bakuna from the COVAX facility organized by World Health Organization. Very very sensitive sila dyan. Ang sinasabi talaga ng World Health Organization, follow the priorities, and there's a possibility that the Philippines being a priority of the COVAX facility, which are free vaccines from them, may end up to be reallocated somewhere else if we do not follow those protocols. Kaya nga po sa PNP and AFP, inuuna natin sila, but with the extent that it's their healthcare workers or medical personnel in those two organizations. Yung mga general practice, yung mga wala doon sila sa fourth priority na lalabas.
Okay, well, siguro masasabi na lang. I don't know. You have to forgive me, Usec, kasi malapit yung puso ko sa mga kapulisan natin. I've taught in the Directorate for Community Relations, and I have relatives who are in the police service. Medyo parang tagilid dyan. So what are we doing to ensure that there is no surge in the infections, kasi highly contagious itong UK variant, and kung COVID-19 lang naka 12,000 na pulis ang tinamaan, mas delikado na naman yung UK variant na yan.
Alam mo, Cito, yung ginagawa namin yung standard protocols for travel, it should always be medical and science-based. Otherwise, we won't push for those medical for those standard protocols. The key element na sinabi sa amin talaga ng ating resident epidemiologist, si Dr. John Ong, and yung ating mga health officials, key is really the practice of minimum public health standards regardless of the variant. No? Sinabi ito nila even during our consultations with the mayors of the National Capital Region. If people go back to the strict practice of minimum public health standards, we will be able to minimize the spread. And I personally saw the difference between the people moving out during the last quarter of last year until January, and the people going out itong huling 3-4 na linggo. Sa Pasay, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was walking around to personally observe. Nag-uusap sa tindahan, 2-3 babae, wala nang face mask, talsik laway, tawanan. I went to BGC, yung mga between, I think, mga late 20s, early 30s, nandun sila sa gitna ng, ng BGC, nag-uusap, nagpipiknik, nagtatawanan, wala na ring minimum public
Nako,
consumption.
mabuti.
So, we're really relaxing with the practice.
Mabuti sa'yo nang galing yan, Usec Densing. Kasi may nagsumbong nga sa akin kamakailan lang na mga foreigners. At sabi, Cito, can you please call attention to the BGC? Kasi maraming araw doon na talagang wala ng social distancing. Sosyalan na lang ang nangyayari. And I'm thankful that walang nagiging major outbreak dyan sa BGC. Kasi yung security yata nila medyo naghigpit ng mga nakakapasok. But still, you're correct. It is the relaxing. All of us are guilty. We have put our guards down. We have become too relaxed with the minimum health protocols, etc. Now, what about yung contact tracing na naging issue kahapon? Mukhang napag-usapan niya na only 4 are compliant in terms of the required number of contact tracers per town or per city?
I feel they lost the momentum in building up their contact tracers here in Metro Manila, especially nung nag-augment po ang national government. I do apologize to our mayors in Metro Manila kung sila po'y kasi alam niyo matampuhin yan, mga politicians po yan. Pag sila'y nasisita in public, nagtatampo. But what I only mentioned is really factual. No? Only 4 of the 17 cities in Metro Manila are compliant with the World Health Organization standards in terms of contact tracer to population ratio, which is 1:800. That's Manila, San Juan, TAGUIG, and PATEROS. All the rest, nakita ko yung statistic, 3,000, 1:2,000. In other words, kulang na kulang yung contact tracers natin. And that's the key element in the PDITR containment strategy of COVID-19, yung D, detection. So, kaya lumalawak at dumadami dito sa Metro Manila kasi hindi natin na-detect kaagad yung close contacts ng COVID-19 patients. And I think we should not be pointing fingers. And the reason I mentioned that out days ago, so that we can make a strategy how to address the shortage. In fact, yesterday at the IATF, I already suggested maybe we can put Metro Manila into quadrants so that we can the problem. It's a management thing, no? So, halimbawa, if you can it into several adjacent municipality cities, magtutulungan ngayon sila, which we did in Pasay. When Pasay had a surge, or it's still having a surge, they complained that they lack contact tracers. So kami sa DILG, what we did, we called up our regional director to ask the contact tracers from the adjacent LGUs to help in the contact tracing for Pasay City. So ika-quadrant natin yan, madali ang tulungan. And that's what I'm suggesting, mag-quadrant na para magtulungan yung mga magkakatabi na LGU dito sa NCR.
You know, listening to you, that makes perfect sense. Well, why should you have fixed population of contact tracers when you can simply have one central population of contact tracers? Kumbaga hindi naman lahat pinuputukan ng COVID cases. So kung pagsama-samahin na lang lahat yung mga contact tracers na yon ng iba-ibang bayan or syudad, then you will instantly multiply and you can simply point the gun, so to speak, point the super cannon kung saan hahanapin yung mga kaso. What is going to prevent you from doing that?
Well, actually, we should make it just a policy. No, I suggested that actually months ago. It just came back for me to open at the IATF because of this surge that we are experiencing in Metro Manila, and seem to be shortage in contact tracers. No, so again, kung hindi nila makukumpleto yung 1:800 na ratio in their respective city, then at least we can augment. No. While they are building up their capacity for contact tracing. At the end of the day, they still need to build up, no? And they are under the law for purposes of COVID-19 response. They can actually realign their budgets for COVID-19 response, including this contact tracing, no? Wag natin tinuturo kasi nila yung pagpasok ni DILG when we got 5 billion from the Bayanihan Fund. But that's just an augmentation to the contact tracers of the local government units. Alam niyo sa probinsya, probinsya, ang kanilang ratio is 1:300, 1:500, 1:700. So in other words, kayang gawin if we put the budget and our efforts in building up the contact tracers.
Okay, I know you gotta go because you have another meeting. Quick question lang. If things don't improve, will the DILG step in and require that everyone be placed under the DILG? All these contact tracers.
Our position is really to leave it up to the local government units. No, it's still theirs. No, what is important is we make the activity much closer to the people, but we will be there to assist and support. And this is the reason why we're trying to get some budgets from the national government. To again, the key term is we're trying to augment their needs. No, but at the end of the day, it's the local governments because they're much closer to the people.
Kung tatagalugin, magbabantay kayo. Okay. Thank you very much, Usec Epi Densing, for your time today.
Salamat po at magandang umaga, Cito.
Okay, excuse me. That is Undersecretary of the DILG Epimaco Densing III. And ayun po, no? That is a very interesting concept. Because everyone is hiring their own number of contact tracers, some more than the others. Pero not everyone has a problem or requires constant services of the contact tracer dahil hindi naman mataas yung numbers nila. So if you follow what Usec Densing was saying, if you just put everyone under one umbrella or one management, then they can quickly respond to a particular surge in a particular area. Katulad niyan, may problema tayo sa Pasay. Sige, tambakan natin ng 10,000 contact tracer yan. Di tapos kagad ang problema. Hindi yung nag-aaway-away at medyo... Well, so sorry. I correct myself. No one is fighting, but there is a disparity in the numbers of contact tracers because at the end of the day, the number of contact tracers available and the speed by which they move to find the people that came into contact with a patient or an infected person. The speed and the number will dictate on how fast they can contain the problem. Ayun po, no? Medyo yun ang nagiging isang issue ngayon among LGUs. In any case, we're about to end the program and I just want to remind, like yesterday, I talked to you about Psalm 103 verse 1 to 5. Today, I just want to bring you to the book of Jeremiah chapter 32. Kasi yun po yung pinag-usapan namin kanina ni Professor Leyco. And it's a very interesting chapter because it's a chapter that talks about investing in property during a time of disaster. Okay? And Jeremiah, the prophet, is going, ano ba, Lord? Ano ito? But God thinks in futures. God knew that after all of disaster is over and done with, well, I'm going to bring back my people, I will restore my people, and they will have their lands, and they will have their property, and that is what our wish is for all of you out there. Na pagdating, makatapos ang long of time, sa haba ng panahon dito sa COVID, we will all recover, and we will all be prosperous under God. Thank you very much for joining us. Invest, 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 and pray and pray and pray. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us today, and that's Agenda.